going to mute everybody just so that obviously the recording's nice and clear. So I'll start here. So welcome everybody to this talk about nutritional support during stress and anxiety. Let me just quickly, for those of you who don't know me, I'm a certified nutritionist, and my whole aim is just basically to try and see if I can help people make better lifestyle choices so that they can live more healthier lives. And then I have a BSc in nutritional science, which I got from the UK, and recently completed my master's in holistic health and nutrition education in the States. And I've also worked in the health supplement industry for 20 years, helping to develop nutritional supplements. And my aim is basically just to encourage people to make small changes, changes that they can sustain in their life. Trying to create a huge effort for anybody is difficult. So it's about just keeping things nice and simple. So, and then at the end of the day, my favorite part is obviously just making a difference. I really just want to make a difference in people's lives. So the goals for this talk is basically just for us to all understand the implications that stress plays in our roles, in our lives, and then just look at some practical applications to help manage stress. We'll just discuss some lifestyle habits, and we'll have a look at nutritional support, and then dietary changes that you can also have a look at, and then some supplement recommendations, and at the end of the session we'll take any questions that people may have. So we kind of all thought that we would get rid of 2020 and all the masks and all the things that came with the stress that we had last year. And we were all happy to just give 2020 a good old kick and move on and hope that none of this would take place again this year. But what I think we've realized is that we're still facing some of the challenges that we faced last year, and we still also don't know what lies ahead of us, and all of that creates underlying stress. So whether we like it or not, we are just in a place at the moment where we're having to cope with stress. So when we have a look at the stages of stress, so you get some good stress. Good stress is, it gets switched on and it gets switched off, and your body's okay with that. So if, for instance, something happens like your child falls and you rush over and pick your kid up and look to make sure that they're okay and what's going on with the bleeding, that's like an impulse stress. That's a good stress, and it's there to kind of protect us, and it's meant to be switched off. And then if stress continues a little bit longer than that, then changes in the body start to take place, and that's where the body starts to kind of hold a resistance, and in order to protect the body, it copes with the stress, but it's still lying there in the background. And over a very long period of time of this ongoing stress, eventually what happens is the body actually becomes exhausted. And when we get to that stage of stress, it starts to have major impact on all different systems in the body and can make us really sick. So this is just a little brief phase. So if you look at the stages of stress, so you've got good stress, like on a day-to-day basis, something goes wrong and you fix it and it's all fine. But as it starts to carry on with time, if you look at the bottom, you'll see the time. As it starts to carry on with time, over a long period of time, it becomes bad stress, and you get what you call a burnout or just a breakdown. And that could just be a breakdown mentally and emotionally, or it could be the whole body just starts to, have a breakdown on its own. Okay, so if we look at some common origins of stress, so we have stress in different ways. We've got physical stress, we have emotional stress, we have environmental stress, even we can have spiritual stress. And the way that we perceive things around us has an impact on how we are able to deal with stress. So sometimes being late or sitting in the car in traffic, for some person that could just be something small. For another person that could be a real major stress. So it also depends on how we perceive stress. And then it also, stress gets involved in our thoughts and our values, our beliefs. If we have a positive outlook, then we're able to kind of keep stress at bay. If we're just in a space of not feeling great and our thoughts are negative, and so they kind of like spiral down, and that also just builds and impacts on stress. So it's very important to think about the way that we receive stress or stressful information, how we filter that information, and through our belief system, and first taking our thoughts, almost like considering the way that we think about things, also considering where we receive information from. If you're spending quite a bit of time listening to the news and always checking the news, that's going to be top of mind. That's going to be what your body's going to be kind of processing all the time. So it's about taking a break and exposing yourself to other environments and other positive information. So if we just quickly take a look, here is an interesting stat. It's a little while ago, but it's very relevant right now. So these are the most stressful events that I experienced in the past year. But it's just so interesting because if you take a look at the top, it's illness and disease, which is something that we can all relate to right now because of what's been happening since 2010. And I won't use the big C word, but we all kind of know what that is. And then death of a loved one. Now, that's something that's almost like has come together with dealing with this viral pandemic that we've been in, is the stress of, somebody that we care of, that we're worried about, that will now get this virus. How will they cope? And so that adds to stress. Problems at work, which we can all see, everybody's having that now. We're having to now work from home and have kids at home. So that's also another one. And then making changes, and we've all had to do that in order to shift the way that we work, shift the way that we do school and all those things. So if we just take a look at the top four, we can see that in the last four, in this last year, we've had 4 of them, which means that just generally, even if you've got a wonderful positive outlook, just generally everybody is feeling stressed and is anxious about what's going on, what we've just experienced, and what's going on in the future and what lies ahead in the future. So if we just have a look at the effects of stress, now these are some of the things that kind of happen with stress, and we never put them together, but actually the root cause lies in stress. So the one thing that stress does is this stimulus of the stress response that takes place sends a signal to our adrenal glands, and it produces our stress hormones, which is cortisol. But if that's constantly switched on, then eventually what we do is our adrenal glands become enlarged and they can actually deplete. So another thing that this cortisol does is it goes and it steals something called pregnenolone, which is a precursor hormone to all the other sex hormones. So when it comes to female hormones, what happens is stress can completely throw your general cycle out. You can go into early menopause, you can start having more severe PMS symptoms. So you can see that stress, it starts on the one side, but it has this knock-on effect on other things, and sex hormones is definitely one of them that goes out of sync. Then it can also have an effect on the stomach and the colon. And it does this because when we feel stressed, you'll often see children, whenever they're stressed, they will generally say, oh, I've got a stomach cramp, or I've got in my stomach, I need to, my tummy's sore, whatever. And this is because when your body produces lots of cortisol, it actually thins the mucus lining throughout the whole intestinal tract, and your gut microbiome also don't have a place to now stay and protect you, and that also then affects your immunity. But you then get this indigestion that takes place. So your body doesn't produce all the right digestive enzymes. Your microbiome, which is the bacteria that's in your gut, are not helping you to digest all your food. And you get this feeling of like undigested, your meals just feel undigested. You're bloated, you might have diarrhea, cramping. If you're prone to having stomach ulcers, this stress response will actually activate bleeding ulcers and bleeding in the colon. Then stress also has a very big impact on our blood sugar levels. And it does this because when you start producing cortisol, you have switched on your fight or flight response, which means your body is getting ready to just act quickly. So all your blood sugar rises and all your blood flow rushes to your organs in order to bring supply of oxygen and all the nutrients to the organs so that your body can do what it needs to do. So what happens is you have this flow of excess sugar like going into the bloodstream so that your body you can have the energy that you need in order to do what you need to do. And when you raise your blood sugar levels, you then, and you don't actually land up using them, so you don't actually land up running off or doing what you need to do, then your body sits with all the sugar that's sitting in the blood, and it now needs to protect the brain. So what it does is it stores it as fat. So you've got this knock-on effect of your blood sugar being all over the show and then your body having to store it because it's trying to protect your body. And lots of people can then have issues with picking up weight when they're very stressed. And then, of course, I already spoke to you about stress and the immunity, and that's because that barrier lining is affected by your cortisol, and that's where your microbiomes sit. They sit basically on that lining, and they protect you. They are your first line of defense when any kind of virus or bacteria come into through the nasal passages and have access in through the mucosal lining, your respiratory lining. So you can see how stress has an effect on all these different systems, specifically if it carries over for a period of time. So if we look at long-term stress effects, which I think we pretty much have had over, you're talking about 6 months to a year, you're now exposing yourself to long-term stress. So some people will show signs of wasting, definitely impaired immunity. Memory, when you're stressed, you definitely cannot function properly because if you think about it, all your nutrients are kind of rushing to your organs for your body to kind of react. You don't heal very well. Insulin resistance because of the blood sugar that just goes out of sync. Changes in your appetite, either trying to eat, you're constantly craving food because of this blood sugar that's taking place, or you don't have an appetite because you're feeling too anxious and your digestive system isn't working properly. So you just don't feel like you want to eat anything because it's just going to bloat you or make you feel uncomfortable. And then there's obviously mental implications. People start to feel anxious and over time they start to feel depressed. Cardiovascular disease, and that's because stress also produces a lot of inflammation. And that inflammation will go and affect areas. If there's underlying heart conditions, it will definitely play a role on cardiovascular disease, and digestive issues we've already discussed. So if we look at the causes of anxiety, anxiety is, so you can feel stressed and not be anxious, and you can be anxious and not have stress. So anxiety kind of seems to build. It has a stimulus, so something comes in and the body starts to feel like it doesn't have control anymore, and it kind of builds from the gut and kind of moves up, and it can make you feel really, really uncomfortable, and scared and fearful. So the thing to watch out for is there are sometimes stimulants in our diet that can actually trigger anxiety. So caffeine and sugar and alcohol, those are the three main ones. So if you tend to find yourself feeling anxious, the first thing that you should not go for, or what you should try to avoid, is definitely a cup of coffee with lots of sugar in, or an alcoholic beverage. And I know some people like to just like, oh, I just need to just like let go and have my glass of wine or whatever. But actually, if you're feeling anxious, these stimulants can actually make you feel a bit worse. So other reasons for anxiety, there can be vitamin and mineral deficiencies. Vitamin B is a big one. So a lot of people who struggle with anxiety show up with vitamin B deficiencies, calcium and magnesium. Calcium and magnesium are really good at relaxing our system, our muscles, relaxing our mind and making us feel calm. So if there's deficiencies with calcium, magnesium, that can definitely make you feel like anxious and a little bit edgy. So when it comes to looking at stress management, the most important thing is it's not just one specific thing that helps with stress management. It's about an holistic approach. So you have to consider your emotional well-being. Are you able to express your emotions and just discuss them? Because anything that you think of or feel, your body will hold on to. And if you're not able to process it emotionally, then or mentally, your body will store it somewhere, and it can actually create some issues because the body's now storing or holding on to emotions that it hasn't dealt with. Then physically, the body also is able to process stress through physical activity. So going for a good walk or whichever movement you enjoy, if it's yoga or if it's stretching exercises that include good breathing, all of those help the body to relieve stress. And then there's a spiritual side, your relationships, your values, a place to go and uplift yourself spiritually, meditation, all of those help to manage stress. So if we look at some lifestyle habits to manage stress, one of the things that we can do is reframing. So that's just having a look at stress and looking at it from a different perspective, having a different mindset, and also practicing an attitude of gratitude, just having things that you're grateful for. That also helps to kind of let you feel better about what's going on around you. A good laugh, so any kind of humor is also good. Being assertive, managing your time and resources, expressing it through art therapy, coloring in, that's really good therapy for children. Meditation, massage therapy, yoga, and even ecotherapy. So getting out there and spending some time in nature also serves us. And then some dietary recommendations. So some nutrients to consider, obviously the macronutrients, make sure you're eating a well-balanced meal, remove caffeine and sugar and alcohol. Look out for coffee because it stimulates stress. Watch refined sugars because they convert into refined flours because they convert into sugar. Eat whole grains. Eat green leafy vegetables because they're high in magnesium and calcium. And some antioxidants like green tea and all your colored vegetables. And then fermented drinks like kefir and kombucha and sauerkraut because they feed the bacteria that are sitting inside the gut. And your bacteria are also responsible for synthesizing your neurotransmitters, which are your serotonin and your dopamine, and those all affect your mental well-being. And any good source of probiotics also feed those microbiome. Then on the right-hand side, I've just put in a book, which I recommend. It's a wonderful book. So if anybody's struggling with anxiety or knows anybody struggling with anxiety, this is a wonderful book that was written by a nutritional therapist that just focuses on anxiety and diets around stress and anxiety. Her name's Trudy Scott, and you can find her book on Amazon, but it's well worth a read. Then exercise, we've already briefly mentioned it, but good exercise, in order for the body to be able to release stress, it needs to definitely increase the heart rate. So if you're going to go for a walk, if you enjoy walking, try to give it a nice brisk walk so that you get your heart rate up. Try to see if you can at least exercise for about three days a week, so that you've got this consistent release that's taking place, and for about 20 to 30 minutes. And even if that means it's a play in the park with the kids, then take them, kick a ball, run around, but it's just like getting that exercise so that the body has a way of getting rid of toxins and just releasing releasing stress. Okay, so now if we have a look at nutritional supplements, all of these have a role to play in stress management. So L-theanine is a wonderful amino acid that helps to relax the nervous system. Nice one to take in the evening when you're wanting to just wind down. Ashwagandha is an adaptogen, and it's really good at supporting the adrenal glands and just make sure that your body's able to produce those stress hormones and keep them in check. And then vitamin B complex. Vitamin B is just good for so many different things, but the most important thing is that it kind of helps you cope with stress. When you've got that edgy kind of feeling, it just like kind of puts everything into place, keeps everything calm. It feeds the brain, it feeds the nervous system, and it even feeds the your oxygen supply and your nutrient transport around the body. Magnesium is very good for relaxing the muscles and the nerves. And calcium also helps to, they work kind of in tandem, the calcium and magnesium. So they help with contracting and relaxing muscles. And that has everything to do with you know, all the muscles in the body, but also including the heart. And then scaletium also helps with muscle relaxation. Chamomile is a wonderful tea, herbal tea, that I really recommend in the evenings, because it not only relaxes the whole nervous system, but it also helps to just give you a good night's sleep. And then probiotics, which I mentioned a little bit earlier about how probiotics actually manufacture all the neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, that actually, those are the hormones, the neurotransmitters that actually make us feel happy and make us feel like we can cope. Then 5-HTP also supports melatonin, and sleep is so important during stressful times, because when we sleep, the body almost like recharges. The brain is able to do what it calls a washing, where it basically just washes through the brain, washes everything through the lymphatic system. So it's very important during stressful times. And I know when we're stressed, we struggle to sleep, but it's important to create an atmosphere where we can sleep. So things like trying to avoid bright lights, computers and our phones just before we go to sleep, and then just keeping the room nice and dark and cool, and trying to go to bed at a regular time most days of the week also helps to get our melatonin running at like a proper pattern, so that we can just get a good night's sleep. And that's very important for not only for our immunity, but also to keep our stress under control. And then GABA is another one. It's also a neurotransmitter, and it helps to just also calm the whole nervous system down and help everybody to feel relaxed. So here are some products. You might be familiar with them. It's just a variety of all different brands, which you can get through the health shop. And you can see there's vitamin B complex, ashwagandha, 5-HTP, GABA, calcium and magnesium, good vitamin Bs, L-theanine. So these are all products that are readily available, and they all just help to just supplement the diet when you're not getting in lots of green leafy vegetables, and when you are going for that cup of coffee, or generally if you're not eating well. These are all nutritional supplements that can kind of help. Okay, so these are just obviously some references quickly. So I'd like to let us just take a moment and just ask yourself the question: what one thing can I do after this talk that will help to relieve my stress and anxiety? So if you can just for a minute just think about anything in your diet that you think you could change, anything in your lifestyle that you think you could do that would help. But it needs to be something that's easy for you to do. It's simple, and something, or a supplement. If there's something that you think, okay, that I could definitely do. I'm not taking a vitamin B, or so just think of one thing that you feel you could you could do. Okay, so now we have an opportunity. Thank you for bearing with me and listening. But now we have an opportunity, if there's anybody who has any questions, you can post them, or you can unmute yourself and ask. You're welcome if there's any questions that you have.
Hi, Anna. Anita here.
Hi.
I just want to, hi. Thanks for the presentation. It was lovely. I just wanted to ask, in terms of, I mean, this is all for adults, and I mean, I know for myself what I need to do, but for kids that are maybe doing exams and you feel that they are a bit anxious or stressed, how, I mean, I understand that, you know, adequate sleep and a good diet, but is there anything in terms of a supplement that we could maybe give them during the time of exams that could alleviate that, just that additional anxiety that they may have?
Yes, so things that you could do is definitely, so like in the evening, just you know, good chamomile tea, just like to get the nervous system just relaxed. Well, you know, because it actually kind of starts the evening before you want to go to bed just feeling relaxed. So start off with like a chamomile tea or something just to like relax the system. And then just have a look at, like, I really, like for kids, I really think they should all just be on a really good multivit, just so that you're covering all the bases, because kids, you know, they don't like everything that you put down in front of them. So like a good multivit, and if I take a look at that multivit, the things I'll be looking for is good vitamin Bs. So it must be B1, B2, B6, B12, all of those need to be in there. And then look for something that's also got minerals in, calcium and magnesium. So just like a really good multivit. Another thing I would also say is definitely a probiotic. So because kids are always so, they carry their stress so much in their gut, because they're always complaining, my stomach's sore or whatever. So definitely a good probiotic, or just include some fermented foods into their diet. So a good, if you can make kefir, that's wonderful. But if you can't, like a really good yogurt that's got like lots of live bacteria in it. And omegas. Omegas are really good at feeding the brain with, and also calming the nervous system down. So, and also another thing that's, so I would take the probiotics and the omegas in the evening and take the good multivitamin in the morning. So that's like on the supplement side, that's what I would say. Does that help, Anita? Is that?
No, absolutely. Thanks, Anna. It's just to calm them down, because I think after day 5 or day 6 of exams, it just gets a bit much for the poor children. So
yeah,
you just want to help them a little bit, you know, as much as we can do.
Yeah. So, just look for
Thanks
things
so much,
kind
Anna.
of, just that kind of calm the nervous system. So calcium, magnesium, or the vitamin Bs are good in the morning, like to get going and to keep everything calm. But at nighttime, the minerals and the omegas and the probiotics just like settle the whole system down. And I really think like chamomile teas are one, you know, they even give chamomile tea to babies. They like did a little mini, the baby, they had like purity in them. They all do chamomile tea. So those are really great. Like as a, and even if like the one bottle and then much later another bottle, whatever, like just add some chamomile, and that like really just gets them relaxed and feeling calm.
No, thank you, Anna. That's very valuable. No, I'll definitely put that into practice the next time they have exams. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Is there anybody else who's got a question? Charmaine.
Okay, I'll go again.
Okay.
Okay, so coincidentally, or yeah, I've had a really stressful 2 weeks, and I've actually come out in a fever blister, and I know that's when I think I'm at, as per your graph, I'm at the bottom of that graph where it's just pure exhaustion. Um, it's really difficult to, I suppose, when you're so stressed and you're so exhausted, to um, eat the right foods or even have the strength to cook the right foods. So things almost become a little bit, you take the easy way out in terms of, easy foods to prepare for the family. So is there anything, I suppose, there's only so much supplements we can take. I mean, I don't know if you can advise of anything that, to help working moms or working parents who experience this. I don't know if it's just myself. I don't know if there's anyone else on this call that experienced the same, or is it just me?
You know what? I think that's very common, and I can even speak for myself. It's difficult. It's difficult because you're wanting to provide nutrients, nutritious meals, but there's just time limits, and things get out of hand, and we've got too much going on. So a couple of things that I would recommend is trying to get some. So planning, if you can, planning meals. So think of a day when you do have some free time, like a whatever Sunday afternoon or whatever it is, and kind of like prep certain things. So cut up lots of vegetables, or so kind of prep for the week. So buy what you need and kind of prep for the week, and then kind of pre-plan certain things. They don't have to be all ready-made meals, but if you've kind of prepped them, so like an example of things that I do is I buy a whole lot of peppers and I cut them all up and I keep them in a Tupperware. I cut up cucumber and cherry tomatoes and carrots, and I make sure I've always got hummus in the fridge. And then, so that when it comes to dinner time or filling lunch boxes or lunchtime or whatever, I can just kind of grab stuff that's kind of prepped and just add it to whatever it is that I'm doing. Add that extra into the salad. Another thing that you can also do is there are some wonderful superfoods. So you can buy, they call them green powders, superfoods, and you can buy a pack of those green powders, and then you also get like a red powder one with some red fruits in, and you take those and you can just add them into meals that you're making, or make up a juice, make up a smoothie. So try to see if that's like just a quick, if you've got those ready inside your cupboard, you can just add them in. And what I also do is I keep nuts and seeds, and I grind them up and keep them in a glass jar in the fridge. And when I'm cooking and I'm just making seeds, or if I'm dishing up breakfast cereals, I just take that jar out and I'll take 2 tablespoons of that and sprinkle it into oats, or I'll sprinkle it over salad, or I'll sprinkle it over rice. And I just try to nutrify and keep my weekly meals simple, but I nutrify them by adding in superfoods or prepped other bits and pieces that I've prepped. And that helps me a lot to like save time and not have to think of this whole perfect meal that I need to prepare. Does that help?
No, thanks, Anna. The green and red powder
Yes.
that you mentioned, is that what they go by, the name?
They're different brands, but you can, if you go into the health store, you can ask for you can look for a green, they call them green alkalizing powders, or super greens or leafy greens, whatever. And they've got like broccoli and spinach and kale in. So it's like a mix of organic powders. And then you just buy the pack, and then you can take a scoop of that and add it into meals that you're cooking. You can add it in vegetable soup, or you can just sprinkle it. And then you also get a fruit one. There's one that's got pomegranate and strawberry, and I didn't actually include them in this, but I will. But yeah, I can actually send you some pics. But you can go, if you go in, just look for some vegetable mixes, powders that you can just add into your food. And they just help to nutrify all your meals, because then you can just have a simple meal and just add in add in some of the extras. But nuts and seeds are very powerful, and look for foods that are very nutrient dense. So examples are like avos, all your green leafy vegetables, nuts and seeds, peppers, all the peppers, different colored peppers, and things that you can snack on, like hummus and carrot sticks and cucumber sticks. Those all kind of help to keep your blood sugar balanced, and but they're not just empty like carbs or whatever. You know, they provide your body with a bit of nutrients. Yeah.
Thanks, Anna. That's very valuable. Thanks very much.
Okay. You're welcome. Charmaine, I'm trying to see. I can see your hands up here, but I'm trying to see where I can find your chat. Do you want to unmute yourself, Charmaine, and just give us your question?
Hi, Paula. Sorry, I'm not very technology
That's right.
orientated, so I'm challenged when it comes to it. But what I wanted to just ask is, I take all my supplements at night, and I heard you saying that you should be taking some at night and some in the morning. But if I take all my supplements in the morning, well, most of my supplements in the morning, I feel rather green for the rest of the day. So how good is it to take it at night? I mean, am I doing myself any favors, or am I actually wasting it?
No. Look, the vitamin Bs are generally your get up and go vitamins. So if you're able to take them at night after you've eaten, because generally vitamin Bs can make you feel a bit like, oh, if you haven't eaten. So what you can do is, if you're okay with them, if they don't keep you up at night, you can take them at night. Whichever time of the day they work for you, you can take them at night. Your body will still absorb them. You'll still get good use out of them. What you could try is, if you're taking a vitamin B complex and you want to try and take it in the morning so that you get that vuma through the day, then you can maybe try drinking it with a warm, hot cup of tea, because that kind of also just allows, because some people also, they don't like to take their vitamins because they generally don't start their day with a full breakfast, because they just don't feel like they can eat a full breakfast. They just want like a smoothie or just a cup of tea, and then a little bit later they'll eat something. But just try not to have any of your supplements on an empty stomach, because they can make you feel nauseous, all of them. And even omegas can drop your blood pressure. So try to always take them with food or after a meal. But Charmaine, if they work for you at night and they're not keeping you up at night, then are you taking them just before you go to bed, or are you taking them after you've had dinner?
No, just before I go to bed.
So yeah, you know what? As long as they're not keeping you up at night, and it's specifically the vitamin Bs, those ones specifically. Okay. The other ones are really good at night. They kind of relax the system, and those are all fine. Okay. But just watch, if you're taking like a B complex, maybe just think of that one, maybe trying that one a little bit earlier in the day.
Okay.
But after you've eaten. So even if you find that you generally eat something more substantial at lunchtime, try to take the vitamin B with your lunch meal and keep the rest for your evening time.
Okay, thanks very much. Okay. And then just another quick question. If my husband is on blood pressure tablets and he wants to take his supplements in the morning, is it suggested that he does that, or should he rather wait till lunchtime? Because he seems to be taking them in the morning but then feeling dizzy. But now you've just said the omega will drop his blood pressure.
Yes. So does he take his blood pressure medication with a meal, or does he just wake up and take that?
No, he's taking it with breakfast.
Okay. So yeah, I think I would take that with breakfast, and then as long as he's not skipping, because sometimes you get on with your day and then you kind of forget about your supplements. And generally that's why most people take them, at the beginning of the day, because then they're like, oh, I don't have to worry about taking them. But if he's okay with taking them at lunchtime, then let him take them at lunchtime but as long as he's eating. He needs to eat and then take his supplements. Yeah, and maybe just with the omegas, because they do have a direct effect, and calcium and magnesium also have an effect on blood pressure. So I would let him take his blood pressure medication with his breakfast, and then at lunchtime take his other supplements.
Okay.
Yeah, just keep it like that, just so that they don't impact on each other, because sometimes they're not contraindicated in a big way, but they do have an effect. The one's trying to lower blood pressure, now you're lowering it a bit further. So let's not make sure stay away from interfering with the medication.
Okay, thanks very much, Paula. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Is there anybody else? Okay, good. Well, if you can think, if there's anything else that you would like to chat to me about, you're very welcome to contact me. There's my email address and my website. If there's something specific that you want me to, if there's something specific that you want me to help you with, then you're very welcome to contact me. And thank you, Linda and Stephen, for helping me put it together, this talk together. And I hope that it's been useful information and some supporting information, because I think right now we just all need some good info to help us feel calm and relaxed. So thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful evening, and hopefully we'll chat again soon. Okay, take care. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.